Hey guys, hope everyone's day is going well so far. Hopefully, it's about to get a lot better because we're going to build a human in the loop calendar agent, which is going to be cool because it's going to basically allow us to, we're going to have one agent that's going to, here, actually, I'll just show real quick. So we're going to have one agent that determines the intent. It's going to grab our events in case we're asking to delete or update something. So it'll say, hey, this is the event we want to delete. Is that right? It'll, display the correct email addresses. If someone's got, we're going to go over examples where someone in your contact database has a business email and a personal email, and you get to choose which one. And then the human in the loop is going to, take our feedback, and then it's going to come back and change the intent and feed it through again. And it only will send off to the calendar agent once the intent has been decided on. So yeah, it's gonna be cool. Let's get into this one here. I don't know why you guys just got switched over to that window. Sorry about that. Anyways, yeah, let's just start building this thing. So I've got my Telegram here, which is how we're gonna be talking to it. So the first thing we want to do is we're just gonna grab a Telegram trigger, which is on message. So if you haven't set up your Telegram account, you'll just have to go into, get your bot access token. You'll be able to click on, create a new credential, open these docs right here, and then it will walk you through. It's pretty simple. But once you have that connected, the first thing we want to do is hit test step. So now, because our workflow is not active, we have to hit test step to activate a trigger. So it's listening to us. I'm just going to say hello. And then you can see we get our information back. So perfect. We have things we need like the text that's actually being sent through. We have our chat ID, of course. And I'm just going to pin this so we have this to save for later. But now the first thing we want to do is, at this point in my brain, I've already wireframed out how this is going to work and what is going to happen. But from a high level, what I was thinking when I was building this is, okay, so obviously at the end there's going to be a calendar agent that's going to take the intent of our original user query, and it's going to hit its tool, one of its tools, in order to actually take that action, whether it's creating an event with an attendee or creating an event or updating or deleting things. So my thought process was, okay, before we can get there, we need to make sure we're going through and refining exactly what we're looking at. And so typically one thing we want to make sure that it's getting correct is it's updating or deleting the correct event and that it's using the correct contact information. So I was like, okay, we're going to have an agent up front that grabs information that's already on our calendar, and it grabs contact information as well. From there, we're going to feed that back into the human and say, here's what we're going to do. Is this correct? If yes, send it off. If it's not correct, route it down to an agent that's going to fix it. So that's at a high level what we're doing here. Very similar architecture to the human in the loop sales team, and all the human in the loop ones will be the same. Similar in that flow of checking if it's approved or denied. If it's denied, we're taking both the original intent as well as the human feedback to change the intent. So all that to say, we're going to throw in an AI agent. That's going to be the next step. And this one is going to be our original intent agent. So this one's going to take our original query. It's going to understand what we're asking, and it's going to grab previous events and contact information to send off as the first step of human in the loop. So first thing to understand here is that we're not searching for a prompt within the connected chat trigger node because we're not using a chat trigger. We're using Telegram trigger. So what we're going to do is change this to define below. And what we're going to drag in is the text down here. So this is the text that's going to change every time we talk to it. And also I'm just going to change this to user query. So it knows, okay, this is the user query, and then here's what the actual user query is. I just messed it up. And of course, we're going to add a system prompt, but for now, we're not going to do that. We're just going to take it step by step. So I'm adding a brain. I'm going to add 4.0 here. And then I typically just like to change these to the name so I can see what model we're using, and as well as you guys can see what model we're using. We're not giving it any memory here. And the first thing that we want to do is give it access to the calendar. So we're going to grab a Google Calendar tool. We're going to change this to get events. And I'm just going to throw an underscore right here because we're going to have to add a get events tool to the final agent. And I could just link them up to the same one, but just want to keep it organized. We're going to choose the calendar. And we don't have to fill out anything because all we're doing here is we're just going to be getting many events, right? So getting many events, we want to return all, but we want to return all within a specific window. So I'm going to click on these two buttons. Based on our query, the agent is going to fill out, we're searching for events after this date and before this date. So what we're going to do here is, I've actually found a way to make this better than I used to. I used to say, okay, for after, we're going to be looking at everything that comes after the day before the one that we're requesting. So if I said today, get my events for today, the agent would say, okay, well, we're going to fill in yesterday in this parameter. So then we're going to be looking for everything after yesterday and before tomorrow. But what I found is better is saying 12:01 a.m. of the day the user requested. And then similarly, down here for before, we're going to say 11:59 p.m. of the day the user requested. So now it's only going to be looking at today, and you won't have any, potential issues of grabbing some of yesterday's events based on time. So that's all we have to set up, because the model is going to fill in the actual date based on the description that we set here. So that's it for getting events. Now the agent has the ability to get events to make sure and saying, hey, this is the event that you said you wanted to delete. Is this correct? And now we have to add a contact database. So I'm just going to be using my Airtable example as well. Again, we're calling this one contacts. We just have to choose the correct base. So in here's my Airtable. We have the contact base. We have the table called base. So that's why I'm going in here and doing contacts. And I'm doing contacts. And then we're going to be searching, and we're just going to be returning all. So we're just going to grab all the contacts, and then the agent's going to be able to pick which one's correct based on the intent coming in. So now let's get in here and prompt this bad boy. So what I did for the prompt is this, and I'll explain how I got here. So I said, overview obviously is what I started with. Your calendar assistant, your job is to look at the incoming query and determine the intent. So pretty easy, right? If we say create an event with Nate Herkelman for 6 p.m. for dinner, it's going to take that intent, it's going to grab our contact information, and then we want it to output, okay, you're asking to create an event for February 20th at 6 p.m. with Nate Herkelman. Here's his address or email address that you want to create that with. Is this correct? So that's what we want this agent to do. Validate what the user's intent is, and then ask any clarification questions. So this is cool because it has the access to get events. If we're saying to create something, it will also first get events, and then it will say like, hey, you have a conflict here. Is this correct? So I'll show off an example of that. Actually, we've got something here, 4:17 to 5:17. If you watched the video I made yesterday, I made that as an example. So we're going to say to make something for 5 p.m. and it should be able to say, hey, you've got something there already. And this is actually a feature that wasn't going to bake in. And let's see, this thing keeps popping up. Do not show again. And it just started doing it. I was like, that's pretty smart. Let's make sure it does that. So as you can see in the prompt, I said, use this if the user wants to update or delete an event. You should provide details about the event to confirm it's right. And so I'm going to leave this as is for now, and we'll see how it comes back, because we also wanted to do that when we're creating an event to make sure we're not doing any overlaps. So actually, no, let's just change this now because we want that to be baked in. So use this to get events. Use this to get events when the user wants to create, delete, or update. We're going to say an event or update an event. Okay. So we're going to save this. We're going to test this out using, oh wait, we didn't give it an intent. Okay. So it was just looking at the text hello. I'm just going to manually come in here and say, create an event for 5 p.m. tonight for dinner. Okay. So this is just a simple one. No attendees. It's just creating an event. Let's see what happens here. Okay. To create an event with any attendees, I need to check the contact information for the people you'd like to invite. Okay, so we basically need to prompt it to say you don't always have to get contact information. So use this tool to get all contact information. This tool must be used if the user requests to create an event with an attendee. If no attendee is specified, you don't need to use this tool. So let's try that. And we'll try that, fire that off again. Okay, so once again, it didn't do what we wanted. So to create an event for dinner at 5 p.m., I will proceed to schedule it. Is there a specific location or additional attendees you would like to include? If there is an attendee, please provide their name so I can get their information. Okay, so let's take a look at this prompt again. For the output, we said you must output the request from the user and ask any clarification questions. Always output the email of the contact the user requested. We're going to say if requested. If requested. if there are two records for contact information for a single name, output the email and type of contact. So if we were to say, Michael Scott, we have a personal type and a business type. So it would say, hey, which one do you want to use? And actually, when I was testing this, I was using Foro Mini. So let me go back to Foro Mini real quick, because the models do have a difference of the way that they're interpreting, queries and system prompts and all that kind of stuff. So let me just see if this changes anything. We'll go to Foro Mini. Okay, so what we're getting here is it's still saying you want to create an event for dinner tonight at 5 p.m. Could you please confirm the date for the event? Okay, so this is interesting. Let me come in here real quick and say, let's give it some rules, because we want it to first check for events. And then we could also give it an example. So here are going to be, why I did that. Here are going to be the rules. You must always get events using the, I want to put this in single quotes, get events tool to make sure there are no scheduling conflicts. Okay, so we'll add in just that simple line for now and test this again. Okay, so we're still not hitting the get events tool. I guess you know what it is? I think it's because I didn't put an underscore here. We'll see if that's it. It may not be it. The output was, you want to create an event for dinner 5 p.m. Could you please confirm if you want to invite anyone? If so, please provide the name of the attendee. Okay, so let's try this again. I really think it was just the underscore, which is kind of goofy, right? So you requested to create an event for 5 p.m. However, there's a scheduling conflict with the following event: corporate retreat 4/17/5/17. Would you like to choose a different time for dinner, or would you prefer to reschedule or cancel the existing event? Okay, so let's continue on with this example for now. This is what we want, right? And we'll test out other things like updating, deleting attendees. But for now, let's just keep going down the pipeline with this event. So if you remember in my sales team human in the loop video, we had to set the intent right after, or not the intent, we had to set the email right after, because, let me show you guys this again. If we were feeding this straight into the human in the loop, and then we wanted to have a correction agent loop back, it wouldn't work without setting this intent, because technically, it would work here, but it wouldn't work later. And let me explain that. So when you're referencing something in N8N, right here, we want the message to be what's coming back from the previous node. So if we do JSON.intent, it's going to be looking at the most previous node. So it's going to be looking right here. Similarly, in here, we're able to say JSON.output, which means it's going to be looking at whatever comes from the intent agent or whatever comes from the correction agent, because it's coming directly beforehand. So that's fine. But the complication comes when we want to actually reference the most recent version of the intent. So if we ran this through 3 times and there was no set, how would the calendar agent know what query to look at? Because in here, we're referencing the set intent item.json.intent. So that means it's going to be looking for always the most recent intent that we have. If we didn't have a set field here, we would have to either be labeling like, you will look in the intent agent's output, or you will look in the correction agent's output. So it's not going to be consistent. So I hope that makes sense. I'm sure it'll make more sense once we run through some demos. If it doesn't make sense to you yet, let me know and drop a comment in this video, and we'll definitely talk about it more. But cool. So that's why we're setting the intent here, right? And this isn't always something where you know to do this right away. Like when I was building this agent, I had to get to that point where I was at the calendar agent at the end, and I was like, oh shoot, how does it know dynamically which intent to pick? So that's why I came back, okay, where are we looping everything back to as like a meeting point for all these updated intents and revisions? This is where I need to set something. So that's what we're doing here. So I'm calling this set intent, and all we're doing is we're grabbing, we're just going to call this intent, and then we're just going to grab the output from this agent. And just keep in mind, we're able to grab this because it's JSON.output. If we dragged in intent agent.json.output, it wouldn't work, because we're not referencing that node specifically. We're referencing whatever feeds in most recently. So that's what we're doing here. So when this goes through, it's going to come out and say, you requested to create an event for 5 p.m. Is this correct, right? And so this is what we want to feed back into Telegram. So I'm going to grab a Telegram. I'm going to grab send a message and wait for the response. And then this is just going to be called, human in the loop. So from here, we have our chat ID, which we can drill down in Telegram Trigger. We will go to message chat ID. So my face is almost covering it, but it's right here. So this is the chat ID. You could also technically grab the from ID. They're the same thing, but I like to grab chat ID. And then the message, we just need to get it from the set intent, right? Because this is the question that we're asking the human. And so now we have the response type. So with these wait features, you can basically send off a message and then you can have a button that says approve. Or if you do approval, you could have just approval or you could have approve and disapprove. So 2 buttons. But what we like to do is free text so that we can say, hey, business email, or hey, let's move that to 6 p.m. rather than 5 p.m. Or yes, go ahead and schedule it anyways. So here's what we got. And let's just test it off. So we're going to send that message and we'll see in our Telegram what we get is, this is the message, right? You requested this event. Here are the conflicting event. Would you like to choose a different time or would you prefer to reschedule or cancel the existing event? So we have some options and we want to respond with free text. So I'm going to click on respond. It opens up this page and it's a little annoying. I wish we could just respond in Telegram. I'm sure that feature will come soon. But now let's just say, we're going to say, schedule it anyways. Okay. So we're saying schedule it anyways. And then we're going to see back in here, what we're getting out of this node is a text field. And this is just always going to be our feedback. So what's next? We want to take our feedback and we want to merge it with the original intent to create a new intent to get approved. And before we can do that, we have to route it off to either approved or denied message. So what we're going to do here is use another AI node, which is a text classifier. We're going to call this one check feedback because that's essentially what we're doing is we're checking feedback and seeing if it's approved or denied. All I'm going to do here is I'm just going to connect this to the same 4.0 mini model, so it has a brain, and text to classify. So this is what field is it looking in to actually analyze. So all we have to do is change this to an expression, and we're going to drag in the text that's coming back from the Telegram human in the loop node. So it's looking at schedule it anyways. And then we have to set up 2 categories. So we're going to set up approved, and we're going to set up denied. And so now we have to describe what does an approved message look like and what does a denied message look like. And so this is where you have to do some testing, right? You would basically throw in some brief descriptions, test out different response messages, and I'll show you guys what I ended up coming up with. So here is what I got for approved. I said the human is confirming or agreeing with our request. This means they acknowledge that the provided information or action or intent is ready to proceed. Approval messages often include, and then I threw in some that I actually found that I was going to say. And so it's interesting because like in this case, where schedule it anyways is kind of like an approval message, but we don't necessarily want to send this down the approval branch because we want to come back and say, okay, just confirm we're going to have these overlapping events at this time. And then like, is this correct? So I want to send it down that branch. And then similarly, I'll show you guys how I did some reactive prompting on this one, where I said the human is providing feedback that does not indicate approval. This could include requests for changes, corrections, or additional clarifications. A denial may also involve a specific type of email like business or personal. And so here was really reactive because I said, here are some example denied phrases, business, because I was getting into a situation where it was asking, okay, here's Michael Scott's information. You've got business email and personal email. Which one do you want to send it to? And I would just respond with the word business, and then it wouldn't push it down approved or denied. It didn't know what to do with it. So then I hard coded, okay, if you see business, that is going to be a denial message. That fixed it. Personal, I added as well. I also got into a situation where it said, okay, you have both of these events. Which one do you want to delete? And I said delete both, and it would also not categorize it. So then I was able to say, okay, if you see delete both, or if you see delete the first one, those are also denial messages. Okay, so cool. We could test this and we see which way it's going to go. It's going to go to the denied branch because we can see there's 1 item in the denied, 0 items in the approved. And now what we see is coming out of here, we have these 2 different logics, which we can route this one this way and we can route this one this way. So what I'm going to do here is, since it's denied, we're just going to create that denial agent real quick. So this is going to be an AI agent, and we're going to call this the correction agent. Same thing. We're not looking for a chat trigger node. We're going to define below. And this is where it gets cool because we're going to be taking the input. We're going to be taking the feedback as well as the original intent. So here's original intent. And this is always going to be coming from the set, because if we do need to go back 3 times, we don't want it to be looking at the original intent from here every time. We want it to be looking at the most recent intent. So we're grabbing the set intent once again. So here's that message that the human responded to, right? And then we have the human feedback, which we can drag in here. So it's basically, this is what it's getting. It's seeing this message, and then it's seeing that we said schedule it anyways. So now it knows, okay, we're good to schedule. And now we just need to add our system prompt. So this one's not too bad, pretty short. And let me show you guys what I came up with here. You are a correction agent. Your job is to look at the original output and correct it based on the human feedback. Your job is to output the new intent of the request. Always include all of the details like email address, attendees, time, date, summary, etc., and ask a clarification question if necessary. If there's nothing to clarify, you'll just ask, is this correct? So the reason I threw in this line was because sometimes it was just saying, like, sounds like you want to create an event for tomorrow at 5 p.m. And then when we feed that into the calendar agent, it doesn't know what to do because it lost the email address. It lost all this kind of stuff because this agent, we're not giving access to contact database, right? It's only happening here. So we need to make sure the data is all passing over correctly. So I'm just linking it up to the same brain. We're not giving it any tools. And then all we have to do is take this output, and we want to drag this right back into the set intent because that's how it's getting fed through, right? So we can go ahead and hit this one and we'll see what it does. Reference notice unexecuted. Okay. So this just happens because like when we're doing a loop, it's looking for a message in here and sometimes it doesn't always get it. So as you can see, but let's just go ahead and test this process again. So let's actually just show a new example. So I'm going to say, create an event with Michael Scott for 8 p.m. tonight to discuss the vacation. Okay. So we've got that and we'll send it off. So it's going to grab events, make sure there's no conflicts. It's going to get Michael Scott's contact information, which we know he has a business and a personal. So let's open up the Telegram, see what we got. You want to create an event with Michael Scott for 8 p.m. tonight to discuss a vacation, current events. So maybe we need to prompt it and say, only output this if there's actually a conflict. Michael Scott's information, here's business and personal. And it says, please confirm which email you'd like to use for Michael Scott, business or personal, and I'll proceed with creating the event. So we're going to hit respond. We're going to say, we're just going to say business, submit that, go back into here. I don't know why I even have my email pulled up. I don't need that. I thought I was going to maybe use email for human in the loop, but I wanted to try Telegram. Anyways, we got our new message. So the correction agent, it was denied, right? The feedback was denied. The correction agent fixed it and said, you want to create an event for Michael Scott using his business email. And then it gave us the email, it gave us the time, the date, and said, is this correct? So then now we can come in here and say, yes. So that got sent off. And this, as you can see now, got pushed to the approved branch. So now we need to set up what we're going to do for the approved branch, right? Okay, so what we want to do is feed this into another AI agent. And this is going to be the agent that actually takes action with Calendar. So this is our Calendar agent. And once again, we're not doing connected chat trigger node. We're going to define below, and we're dragging in the set intent because, see, it's having that issue because we're testing, but this is the most recent intent, as you can see on the left-hand side. This is what we just responded to in Telegram. And then for the system message, I actually just copied the system message I made already for my, for my Ultimate Assistant build, where I had a calendar agent in there. So I just copied that over, which basically is, your calendar assistant. You have these tools: create event with attendee, create event, get events, delete event, update event. Obviously, in order to delete or update events, we need to first use the get events tool to get the ID of the event to delete. Similarly, we need to get the ID of the event to update. And the one thing I had to change, though, was the rules. Because, so I said, turn the incoming query into an action. Ignore clarification questions. Just take action based on the intent that you receive. So if we're getting a message like, you want to create an event with Michael Scott, like, is this correct? It basically wouldn't take action because it doesn't seem like that's a query. It doesn't seem like that's an intent because it's like a question, right? So we're saying ignore the questions, just take action based on the intent you're seeing. And that's working. So I'm going to use 4.0 here. Could definitely just use 4.0 mini. Actually, no. You know what? We'll stick with 4.0 mini. We'll stick with 4.0 mini. 4.0 mini. So here we have 4.0 mini. We're not going to give it memory, but we are going to hook up our tools. So the first one's going to be a create event. Okay, I typed in create. We need to type in Google Calendar. So we just have to make sure our name is matching. So this is create event. What we want to do is obviously just choose our calendar. We already have create event set up. Start time, bam. End time, bam. What we want to do is add a summary so it knows how to title the event. And that's it, right? So that's creating an event. I'm going to copy this one over, connect it up, and this is going to be create event with attendee. The only thing we need to change here is we're adding an attendee parameter. And we're just doing this because throughout my testing, I found that if we had one node called create event and their attendee parameter was here, but we didn't have an attendee and it tried to create an event without an attendee, because this parameter is left blank, the request over to Google Calendar API would just kind of fail. So we just split it up, easy fix. Actually just going to copy this over, and this is going to be our update event. So this is update event. We're going to do obviously update event. Here's the calendar and here's the event ID. So that's all we need. And let's add in our get event, which we can just copy from here because it's doing the exact same thing. All it's doing is just searching for events. So here's our get events. We just want to rename it appropriately. In this case, I think I had no underscore and then no one at the end. So we have get events. Perfect. And then finally, we just need to do a delete event. So we'll call this one delete events, or no, I'll just say delete event. The calendar, and then same thing is just going to have to grab an event ID. So we'll check that box. So now we're going to test out these functions, right? Okay. So there's our calendar event, or our calendar agent with the abilities to now take action in calendar. So yeah, let's test something out. I'm going to just like shift over my screens here. So now we can see, well, I'm hoping you guys can see like everything, right? So yeah, I really hope you guys can see this full screen. Cool. So we've got the calendar on the left where we have, today. So let's change the query coming into Telegram. I'm going to say, okay, we're going to create an event with Michael Scott for 5 p.m. tonight to discuss the vacation. So we'll test this out. Ooh, yeah, we also wanted to prompt in to only bring back the events if there's a conflict. So here's what we got. You want to create an event with Michael Scott for 5 p.m. tonight to discuss the vacation. However, there's a scheduling conflict, a meeting titled Corporate Retreat Discussion. And also, what email would you like to use for the retreat? And would you like to reschedule or adjust the timing? So we're just going to say, use the business email and don't worry about the conflict. So we'll fire that off. It's going to the correction agent. We should be getting a new intent any second now. New intent, create an event with Michael Scott using his business email, 5 p.m., despite the conflict. And then here's our event details. Is this correct? We're going to go ahead and say, yes, it is. So we'll send that off. It's going up to the calendar agent, and we can see it's taking action because it's able to ignore that clarification question. On the left-hand side, we just got we can see we just got our event. And so now let's try moving that. So I'm going to come in here and say, move the event, or no, move my meeting with Michael Scott tonight to 7 p.m. So let's try that. Test workflow. It's probably going to, okay, so let's see. To assist you with moving your meeting, Michael Scott, I will first check for events. Please hold on. Also, could you confirm if you have the email address? Okay, so that's not good because it should have, we wanted it to look in here both for contacts and for events first. So let's take a look at what we need to do here. So, let's see. You must always get events to make sure there are no scheduling conflicts. When you are asked to move or update, I want to say when you're asked to move, update, or delete an event, you must use get events to confirm the event. Okay, let's just try that. Yeah. So we're just throwing in one extra line and we'll see how that changes the behavior. Okay, so now grabbed events. We could also get in there and start adding examples of explicit things that we asked it to do and things that it did wrong. So you want to move your meeting with Michael Scott tonight to 7 p.m. Currently, the meeting titled Discuss the Vacation is scheduled from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Would you like me to move this meeting to start at 7 p.m., which would mean it would overlap with another event already scheduled from 6 to 7 p.m.? So let's look real quick and see what's in here. So we have the retreat, Kelvin Ryan. We have discussed the vacation, and that's all that we have. So I don't know where it's getting that information about that conflict. Anyways, let's say, yes, move it to 7 p.m. So we'll see what the agent does over here because, oh wait, that's not how I respond. We have to hit respond and open up the browser thing. Yes, move it to 7 p.m. Okay. So it's sending it as denial. And so now we have a new intent. The new intent is rescheduled. The meeting title, discuss vacation, start at 7 p.m. Please provide the date. Oh, did I not say today? Please confirm the date for the new meeting time. Okay. Today. We'll see what that does. Okay, so here's another example where it didn't send it down any branch because it didn't understand what to do. So cool, let's get in here and just add today. We'll also add like tomorrow. And maybe we'll know, or I'll add one more thing, which could be like, February 22nd. So now we're just expanding the consistency of this agent the more and more we test it, right? So move my meeting with Michael Scott tonight to 7 p.m. And then another thing I wanted to do is say, you must output the request from the user, ask any clarification questions. Okay. Let's just try that off again. So just looking in the contact base. So I think this is going to be a better request coming in, a better intent. You have a meeting with Michael Scott tonight, February 19th, 5 to 6. It looks like you want to move it to 7. Here are the contact details. Please confirm if you'd like to proceed with rescheduling the meeting to 7 p.m. Okay. So that was a much better response. We're going to say, I want to try something here. So it's confirming. So I just want to say yes. So now it's going to go up. It's getting events. It's updating the event. We should see over here. Okay. Interesting. So, okay. So I think I know what happened. So because we gave it update event, it really didn't actually update the event and grab the right ID. It just created a new one. That's the exact same. So Michael Scott Dunder Mifflin, Michael Scott Dunder Mifflin. Looks like what it wanted to do here was delete the event. And I think why this happened is because exactly. Okay. So I know why this happened. In here, all we gave it was the ID. We didn't give it any option to, update the start time. We didn't give it an option to update the end time. We didn't give it an option to update the attendees either. So I think for now, let's just try that again like this because I want to see what happens before we give it attendees. But let's just test this workflow again. Oh, shoot. I probably should have deleted those other events. It's okay. So let's see. You want to move your meeting with Michael Scott to 7 p.m. Currently, there's an existing event titled Discussion. Would you like to move your original meeting, the one I found for you, to a different time? Okay, so I'm going to say move it to 8 p.m. So we'll see what happens now. It's gonna take that query. I would like to confirm the details. New meeting time 8 p.m. tonight. Discuss the vacation. Michael Scott. Please provide Michael Scott's email if available. Okay, so we have another problem now. It lost the email somewhere along the way because, as you can see here, original intent. Okay, so the issue came from the main agent because the main agent didn't pass through the email. So let's prompt in that again. When you are asked to move, update, or delete an event, you must get events to confirm. You must output. You must output the event details like date, time, and any attendee emails. Okay, let's just keep going. Keep going at it. Okay, so it didn't grab the attendee email from here. Maybe it grabbed it from the just from the calendar event. Okay, perfect. So it did. It grabbed it from the calendar event. Since you want to move this meeting, looks like there's a discussion, but after that, you're free until your meeting with Michael Scott. Would you like to confirm moving it to the new time? Discuss the vacation. I'm going to say yes. Okay, so it's getting events. It's updating the event. Okay, so it just got moved. And it got properly updated because the time got moved. We still have attendee in there. So that's cool. We didn't even need to put attendee in there because it already has it. It's just moving the time. So that's cool. However, we wanted to move it to 7. So I think it's just because there's too much data going on. What I'm going to do is delete this event. And we're just going to try again from a new query, right? So let's say create an event for tonight. And I'm not going to do an attendee. For tonight at 8:30 for half an hour for brainstorm session. And so no attendee. We'll see what happens here. Send that through. We'll make sure that we don't want it to say, you have an event already. Okay. You requested to create a brainstorming event for tonight at 8:30 p.m. for half an hour. There are no existing events during that time, so we can proceed. Could you please provide any additional details or any attendees? Okay. No attendees. Looks good to me. Okay, so it's going ahead and creating the event. Brainstorm session, 8:30. Perfect. Now let's say delete my brainstorm session tonight. Okay, so we'll say that. It's not going to be seeing, that's fine. So it's going to grab the event. Let's see what it asks us. Your brainstorm session, February 19th, 8:30. Would you like me to go ahead and delete this event? Yes. Getting events, grabbing the ID, deleting the event. Okay, there it goes. It just disappeared. Nice. Okay, so liking that functionality. Let's try something. Let's try again, asking to make an event with someone. So we'll do Nate Herkelman, and then we will have it updated. So, oh, shoot. Nope. Okay. Create an event with Nate Herkelman for 12 p.m. today for lunch. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this kind of just like raw live testing process. Maybe it's boring. Maybe it's nice to watch. It helps. Requested to create event for lunch with Nate Herkelman. Here's his email. Before we proceed, I need to inform you that there's an existing event scheduled today at 4:17. Would you like to go ahead and create the lunch event at 12, or would you prefer to check or adjust the timing? What should I say here? Yeah, I'm just going to say yes. I'm just going to say looks good. So it should be making that event now with an attendee. Nice. We should see it pop up right over here. Lunch with Nate Herkelman. Okay. I'm going to say, oh, shoot, I keep doing that. I'm going to say we want to try updating it now. So update my lunch today to 1:30 p.m. Okay, we'll try that out. Get event. It's going to grab the email from the event details. You have a lunch scheduled 12 to 1. You want to move it to 1:30. Here are the event details. Yeah, looks good to me. Looks good. Okay, so please update this correctly. Get event, update event, and then it should be bumped back on this left-hand side. 1:30, perfect. All right, so I'm gonna call this one here. Obviously, we got this thing spun up pretty quick. Obviously, I had some prompts preloaded a little bit, but this is insightful. The next step from here is I want to try to see if I can build a whole personal assistant that's going to be completely human in the loop like this. My thinking is that it's going to be a similar framework, just because the human in the loop nodes are working, but the human in the loop tools aren't working yet. So if you try to create a tool, like let me just show you guys real quick. Excuse me, sorry. If we went into this Telegram tool, we have the operation of send a message and wait for a response. So essentially, it's supposed to do the same thing as this guy, but what happens is it doesn't spin and wait here. It spins and waits here. So it'll send you the form to respond, and then you'll go in there and respond. But this one comes back with text, which is actually your response. It never does that here. And so the agent's waiting. It's not waiting on this tool. So it just doesn't work yet. I think that it's just something that, NNN released these nodes pretty recently. So it's just one of those things that they're just going to have to work it in a little bit better. But yeah, I'd say, definitely let me know what you guys think of this. There's definitely ways to improve it, make it a little more efficient. I had thought about doing some things where I had structured outputs coming out of these guys, which would be like intent would be one piece, and then like the clarification question would be one piece. And then I could feed in the intent straight to here rather than having it say, hey, just ignore the clarification message. I actually think that this is working better. But yeah, I guess, let me know your thoughts. What else? Maybe, it kind of depends on the way you're looking for your functionality and your interactions. Maybe some people just want a quick approve or deny. I really like the aspect of being able to almost conversate with it and give some feedback. So yeah, let me know. Planning to make a YouTube video on this one soon, but hopefully you guys can, get in here and play with it. Definitely let me know like how you would make this more efficient, how you want to enhance this and make it more, more seamless, more production ready. But I hope that this gives you a good idea of like how you can start working in these nodes into the flows and like just the general architecture mindset around like building something like this. So I'm going to stop rambling here. And yeah, I'll just be looking forward to seeing your guys' thoughts on this build. So thanks everyone.